Hello, everyone. Happy hump day. Today, we're going to be talking all about embossing powder. So if you've ever used embossing powder, I'm sure you've had frustrations with it. I know for a lot of people, it's like that first magic technique that they get into because of changing from powder to enamel. And there's a tons of different ways you can use it. So tonight, I want to focus on getting that perfect crisp impression. And then tomorrow night, we're going to dive into different ways to use embossing powder, ways that you can create your own embossing powders, um, all kinds of different things. So tonight we'll focus more on the getting the powder down correctly, how to do it, what to do, what not to do, all of those kinds of things, different ways that you can get powders to stick. And then tomorrow we'll dive more into creating your own and we'll talk about making scented embossing powders. We'll talk about using it in ways for resist, like tons of different things you can do with embossing powders that I think sometimes we forget about. And then just depending on time and things, we might get into like ultra thick embossing powders. But for today, we're going to stick with just regular embossing powders. Today's offer that I put on to out in the email is 50% off the new embossing powders, our new powder puff tool and static magic I'm going to show you. But the best one is half off the glitter blending brushes. So you can get a whole set for 40 something bucks, or you can get them for just over $1 each. So you can go in there, or you can get a full set, we can get that. So that's what we emailed out tonight. So I'm going to do an offer every day this week just to celebrate the end of Inktoberfest. They're going to be fun, something a bit different that we don't do. So who's ready to dive in all about embossing powders? Let me change to my desktop here. All right, so let's talk about embossing powders. So we have three right now. We have the ultra clear, ultra fine, we have a fine clear, and then we have our Eclipse Black. So these are our first three ones, okay? And I'm going to be using the Color Hive Clear Ink. You can also use your re-inker with one of your glitter brushes through stencils. You can use them through the art masks that we sell. You can also take the glue ink, put it in one of our mini spray bottles, and you can spray it. You can also water it down a little bit, the re-inker in a spray bottle. I wouldn't say too much. I would put almost like maybe 7 or 8 parts of re-inker in one of the mini plastic ones, clear ones, and then add water to it to thin it down. Don't add alcohol, it won't work, but you can definitely do that and create basically a spray version of clear ink if you want to do something fun and splatter it and have a little bit more of an open effect on it as well. So you can do that too. So that's another way you can do it. So I'm going to be using our clear ink. I'm going to be using our new little puff tool here. So when it comes, this is how it looks when it comes. Okay. Here's your lid. So what you want to do when you get it, it has this little plastic piece in it. And I included these because if you ever want to travel with it, if you go to crops and things, you just pop this in and it stops the powder flowing through so it doesn't make a mess anywhere. But you want to take that out for use. And you want to fill it with static magic. Now the static magic now comes in a little jar, but it used to come in bags. But it now comes with a jar and a scoop. And we're going to fill up our powder puff tool. Super easy to do. Oh, by the way, I had a run-in with the table saw today. Nobody beat me. I didn't get in a fight with anyone. I was cutting some wood for the laser. Someone ordered 400 keychains, and I needed to cut lots of wood, and a piece flicked back on me, and that was the end of that. Okay. So this is called Static Magic. We make it in-house. It's non-toxic. It's eco-friendly. There's no plastic pieces or anything like that in it. It's very natural. I don't suggest eating it, but I'm just saying like it's natural enough that I wouldn't be doing that as well. I'm fine. Stay freaked a little bit. He told me I had to look after myself, and why on earth was I doing such silly things? But you know, it is what it is. So what you do with the powder puff, the first time you get it, you want to pounce until you see your mat go a little bit cloudy, okay? And then all you're going to do when you want to use it is just gently tap all over. And you'll see there's a little bit of a film on there as well. And then we're going to put this inside of our Misty. I know, Laurie, but you know, that's what happens when you leave a girl alone with power tools. It is what it is. So I have it, my little guy, my Misty down here. And this works. So tomorrow we're going to heat emboss on vellum. And I'm going to show you some tricks to do that because there's some cool techniques you can do with it. But you can use the puff tool on any surface. You can also use it with kaleidoscope powders, pigment powders, mica powders, to stop them sticking in places where you don't want them to stick. So you see I've got a nice crisp impression of my glue ink on there. And now I'm going to pour on some of our black embossing powder. So this is actually a thermographic powder. So the way to think about it is it's like printer toner. So like printer toner, you're going to use very fine particles. We're using the glue to stick it down, then we heat it. It's like when the printer heats the toner and it turns into a print. This time we're going to make it turn into that. Now I've done no brushing, no nothing. Look how perfect and clear that impression is. There's no like little black spots around. I always blow off my excess. And you can see I have like an absolutely perfect impression, like super easy to do, nice and clear. So there's a combination of the clear ink because it's nice and sticky, but then also the anti-static part with that as well. So, oh, thanks, Laurie. We can, Laura. So I'm going to heat this. On cardstock, I always heat it from the top. I like to start in one corner and work my way over. You're gonna, depending on the material, depends on how careful you need to be. If you've never heat embossed before, it's super cool because you'll see it change color. So you see that top right is now shiny. Now most embossing powders are going to be opaque. So you see this one is nice and shiny and glossy. It's nice and consistent. I've got nice thick lines. I didn't get anything patchy on here. And it gives you like a raised effect. You want to give it a second to just cool down because you don't want to burn yourself. Trust me, I've put my fingers on it and burnt my fingers in the past. But you now have a permanent embossed image on there. And there's different embossing powders out there. So you have glitter ones, clear ones. You can also stamp an image or you can color an image. You can apply your glue ink over the top and then a layer of clear, and it creates like a glossy accents effect. You can also, if you want like an instant glossy accents, you don't want to wait for it to dry, cover the image, or you can take your re-inker and apply it in certain places, add your clear ink, you'll create basically like little dewdrops instantly as well. So there's some other ways you can use it. But this will repel dye-based ink. So if I now put my orange on top, you can see I still have a perfectly crisp, shiny image. So it doesn't matter what I do. Even if I put my white pigment ink down, whatever I put, this is going to repel ink because it is it's like an enamel. It's plastic. This is a thermoplastic, basically, of some kind. So you can do that as well. Hey, Laurie, welcome. So this is going to repel ink. You can color this with alcohol markers. It will not move with your alcohol markers. You can watercolor on this. And because this is raised, it's really nice to watercolor because it's going to keep that water within the lines as long as you obviously not got too much on there. You can use sprays over the top, like dye-based sprays. If you use your acrylic sprays, like our pink spray, it is going to stick to this because acrylic will stick on the non-porous as well. So just remember that. So if you use acrylic over the top of this, it will stain the embossing powder. If with the black, of course, you're probably not going to see it, but say for instance, you're coloring this with alcohol markers. If you did clear or white or a color, then you can color embossing powder with alcohol markers because it's like using a Sharpie on it. So again, if you're using your alcohol markers, go with a dark color so that you don't notice if you color onto the line itself. If you use white, you'll have to go and take some of our blending solution on a Q-tip and you can clean up your design as well. So you can do that too. What else do I want to say? Oh, difference about embossing powders. So you can get glittery embossing powders, clear embossing powders. There is distress embossing powder and distress glaze, which are a little bit like they are embossing powders, but the Distress embossing powder is coarse. It's got thicker granules, and it's going to give you a texture afterwards. It's not going to be smooth like this. It's the way it's designed to be. And then and I'm going to show you tomorrow, there is actually a way you can kind of hack it yourself too if you want to create your own ones. Distress Glaze is again like an embossing powder, and it's translucent. So it's actually a clear embossing powder with dye-based crystals in it that give it that look, that translucent look. So it's not the same as using a colored embossing powder. So Distress Glaze is going to be translucent. Distress embossing powder is going to be a solid color like this. It's just going to be a little bit coarse compared to this as well. Yes, this is Eclipse Black Embossing Powder. We also have two grades of clear. We have a fine and we have an ultra fine. So there's different ones depending on the technique you want to do. I'm trying to think what else I want you to know on the basics of embossing powder. If you don't use something like the powder puff, then you will find you will get little stranded pieces of embossing powder, and you want to make sure you brush those away very carefully before you heat the embossing powder, because once you heat it and it's on your surface, it's not going anywhere. Okay, so it's not going to go anywhere at all. As I say, if you take the re-inker with a paintbrush, you can paint. So say, for instance, I wanted these stars to be gold. I could paint those stars with my re-inker. I could apply gold embossing powder, and you can basically paint an image with embossing powder. So you could paint the flowers of different colors. You're going to have to go color by color, heat it and emboss it each time, but you absolutely can paint with embossing powders. If you've never tried that, then it's a really fun way to do that. So you could do like clear on the ghost, and then you could do different colors up here, make the black solid. It's a little bit of a time-consuming process, but it's definitely a fun one. You can also stamp images. So you can stamp all over with a black image. Put your clear down, put a coat of clear embossing powder over it. We're going to do that tomorrow. And I'm going to show you how you can turn it into an alcohol ink surface with that as well. What's the question, Denise?
So if you're using the clear on a black cardstock and
Mhm.
then put the white snow flurries over top, you could wipe off where the embossing has been done, and then it would just show the black and then white.
Yeah, I'll show you. So let me get some black. What do I have here? Piece of black. Do click. Oh, I didn't powder puff it. Hang on. It's super easy to use. I tried all the brushes and all the things, and I just didn't like. I don't find they dispensed enough. That, and I can see it just about the right amount. Okay, so there's my clear. I'm going to use the ultra fine just because it's really fine lines. Hmm. They didn't do a very good job. Yeah. Dump the other side of my cardstock. So you can see that it's working on there, and you can just brush that off afterwards. Normally it'll just kind of brush off on its own just through normal things. Oh, I hope you're feeling better, Deb. Okay, let's try this again. A good impression. Clear powder. And someone asked me if embossing powder goes off, and it really doesn't. I don't know why it's not sticking. Something I'm doing on here. I'm just going to go with patchy. You can also fix your heat embossing. I'll show you in case this happens to you. Yes, sir. So you can see it goes from white to clear. Now, if you use the Misty, you can always just go back in, put it where it was, stamp again, and add more. The other way that you can do it is you can also just take a little paintbrush, or there are markers available. Hopefully I didn't smudge it too much. There she is. I don't know why it didn't stick the first time. So there's my piece. Misty out of the way. Some snow flurries. Let it dry for a second. And then you can polish her up just like that. And then if you wanted to add color, say for instance, I don't know, maybe you want a pink ghost, because who doesn't want a pink ghost? Well, you want pink flowers in her hair. You can add that kind of shading and stuff in there too. So you can still go in and do that. And it will resist all of that. So it will resist your pigments, it will resist your dyes. It will not resist anything acrylic, and it will not resist like your alcohol markers or anything like that. You can use watercolor pencils with it, watercolor markers with it, all that stuff. Your distress crayons will affect it a little bit just because they have that thick waxiness to them. So those things will go on it as well. So yeah, great idea. You can do, as I say, it will reject all of that. It's also nice because, say for instance, you can heat emboss on black and then put alcohol inks over the top like we did if you don't want to wait for like gel and stuff to dry. You can also, if you do like white heat embossing on black and then use your regular alcohol inks on it, the alcohol ink will absorb into the dark cardstock. You won't see it, but it'll sit on top of the white embossing powder. So you can do all kinds of really cool stuff with it. We'll play with some of those techniques tomorrow. We'll kind of dive in. I want to show you how to do like the glazing, the alcohol ink stuff, and I'm going to show you how to make your own embossing powders too, because you can use any of our inkable glitters, and you can use our new pink champagne glitter as well to create your own embossing powders. And there is actually one other additive we have that you can mix with your embossing powders to create basically your own distress embossing powders too. So we'll kind of dive into that tomorrow as well. But yeah, any other questions about like the basics of embossing powders, how to emboss, heat gun wise, it's really your choice. I've always had a Wagner heat gun, so I've just kind of stuck with it. I used to have the Ranger Heat It one. It has a much lower airflow, but the same temperature, so it just takes longer to emboss. That's the difference. And you all know that I'm about speed, so that's why I like it. I want it done now, right now. So there's that as well. So yes. So that's everything about the basics of heat embossing. Tomorrow, as I say, join me for part two because I want to talk to you about if you want to create your own embossing powders, you'll need clear, white, color, doesn't matter. Um, Inkable glitter or a microfine glitter. You can also use the new chunky too, but it's a little bit harder. And then if you have the fine snowdrift additive, we'll be using that as well. So um, we have that too. So that will be that. But tonight we need a winner, of course. What's everyone's favorite thing that they learned from tonight? Let me know in the comments while I grab our number generator to get our winners for tonight. The reverse resist. That was your idea, Denise. I can't take credit for that. Heather says everything. Let me bring up my winners. I know embossing powder is fun, and the thing I like about Inktoberfest is it reminds us of what we have in our craft rooms that we can use that we maybe haven't pulled out in a while, or use things we've got in different ways. I mean, I was planning out the rest of this week, and I'm like, oh, I could probably go for a whole nother month, and I could still fill it with techniques. So we have lots and lots still to talk about. Um, anyway, that's that as well. Uh, I don't have any frankincense. I had an Epsom bath that helped because my whole wrist was swollen. So that helped. And then I put Voltarol gel on it. And then he made me take antihistamine and Advil. So, you know. Um, anyway, start making my list for next October. I think we need an Inktoberfest in the middle. I think we need 2 months a year for stretch your supplies, not just one. We'll figure something out around, I don't know, February, March. I don't know. We'll do something. Spring cleaning. There we go. Yes. Craft room clean outs. Also, for the whole of March, we'll talk about things in your craft room and different ways to use them. Dyes, stamps, inks. We're on to something. March Madness. There we go. Oh my goodness. All right, so tonight's winner is Amy. Congratulations, Amy. I don't know what your last name is, so either put it in the chat or if you can send me an email, that would be amazing, just so I know who I'm sending the gift card out to. Um, and don't forget, if you're on YouTube, hit subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up, all those things. It really does help. Leave us a comment as well if you're not watching this live. And thank you, Amy. And I will see you all tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, to talk about embossing powders part two. Also, if you have ultra thick embossing powder, I'm going to talk about that tomorrow too. So we talked about glazes and stuff today. We'll talk a little bit about ultra thick as well tomorrow too. So I will see you all then. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Don't forget about our offer till midnight PST tonight. And then we'll have another one.